It's September 2021. You get on your PC and check Steam, scrounging around for a new game to play. Atop the charts is a new game you haven't even seen before, Splitgate, and it's even free. Little did you know that this game and its follow-up sequel would be absolutely slaughtered by poor business decisions and being out of touch with their community to the point that Splitgate 1 servers have now completely shut down, and its supposed smash hit sequel, Splitgate 2, struggles to even break 400 players daily on Steam. Back in that month of August 2021, myself and many others got their hands on a game that I believe truly could have been the next big FPS. Halo had recently released Infinite to a somewhat poor reception, as the game had intense skill-based matchmaking and also a lack of content with greedy monetization.
Wow, who could have seen Microsoft doing such a thing?
People wanted something to scratch that arena shooter itch they had, and I think Splitgate was in the perfect place at the perfect time. Not only that, but it was Halo, with portals? That's right. As I'm sure you're aware, Splitgate offered that classic arena shooter style of gameplay, but added the element of portals. These portals were going to be a major critique point for players in the next game, but stay tuned because I'll delve into that a little later on. So, a fun free arena shooter with new mechanics, crisp clean movement and gunplay, and a surge of players that most indie devs could only dream of. How could it go wrong? The devs were even open with communication, a fresh change from the monotone void of silence that most AAA game studios upheld. It seemed as if they had success handed to them on a golden platter. All they needed to do now was not drop it. Well, the small studio that originally made this game had coded it as a college project, something not ever meant to achieve the heights that it had. Thus, they said themselves the code was difficult to work on, and made providing content updates as well as any other updates a headache. They had a lot to think about with this newfound success. Even Epic Games saw the massive potential and tried getting involved with talks of buying Splitgate. But ultimately, the dev team, to myself and many other gamers' delight at the time, would decline the possibility of selling the game. I remember thinking at the time, thank God they didn't sell. That would have been a huge mistake, if only I knew how wrong I was. They said they had plenty of money to work on the game now, and they could manage themselves, but that didn't solve the code being fundamentally difficult to work with, so how do you think the new developers handled the fact the game was difficult to work on? Did they A, tell people that despite the hard code, they would work to fix it and make it easier? B, hire people to help with said problem and port the code to another language that's easier for people to work with? Or option C, announce completely stopping support for the game at the height of its popularity to work on a sequel, thus killing all momentum the game had. Well, if you chose option C, you would be absolutely correct. For some bizarre reason, they truly believed that this was the way to guarantee long-term success, and to myself and many other people's disappointment, the game would fade into nothingness over the course of the next few years while Splitgate 2 was developed. Although at the time I wanted to believe in the devs, and I did, this should have been the first sign that maybe their business practices weren't always the most well thought out or carefully considered, but this is just the beginning. The world kept spinning, and the action-packed Portal shooter sat on everyone's shelf in the back of people's minds until they dropped a reveal trailer on July 18th, 2024, slating a 2025 release date, giving us the first glimpse of what the new game would look like. Myself and many others were cautiously optimistic about the game, although one thing in particular stood out to me: character abilities. This trailer put a clear emphasis on factions and their background, as well as showing off some abilities and weapons from each. This was my first yellow flag, if you would. The first big thing to throw me off, make me question if this game would be what we were hoping for, because in my mind, why does an arena arcade shooter that rose to fame based on simple, crisp gunplay and movement need character abilities? Why did it need to try and be Overwatch? The answer is that it absolutely didn't, but stay tuned because I'm going to unpack that in just a bit. Silence fell once more, and then 2025 rolled around. Summer Games Fest, the event that the Splitgate CEO decided was the perfect time to drop Splitgate 2. So he took to the stage and in the most bizarre, out-of-touch announcement I have ever seen, gave us this.
Hey guys, I'm Ian Prue, the co-founder of 1047 Games. When we started Splitgate in our dorm room, we just wanted to make a game we could play with our friends, and 20 million of you played with us. Now, with the help from our amazing community, we've built Splitgate 2. Why? Because I grew up playing Halo, and I'm tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year, and I wish we could have Titanfall 3. With Spligate 2, we asked ourselves, how would we take portals to the next level? What if you could portal to entirely different worlds? So we combined the action, movement, and gunplay of arena shooters with the scale and intensity of something much bigger. Splitgate Battle Royale launches free right now, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, this was what we got. A surprise release for sure, but one that missed the mark for me and many others. Not only did Make Gaming Great Again come across as poor taste given the current political climate of America, but the fact that he got on stage saying that he was tired of the same game year after year like COD and wanted Titanfall 3 while announcing a Battle Royale? Which, to elaborate, is the very reason we don't have Titanfall 3 thanks to Apex Legends, and at this point in the gaming space, Battle Royales are a stale, overdone concept with little innovation, similar to COD. The irony of this was not lost on many, and even put a substantial amount of people off trying the game altogether, even though it was free. He essentially got on stage and pointed a gun at his foot, then unloaded the magazine. Despite the announcement, my friends and I downloaded it. The memories of 2021 pulling us into the next iteration of Portal-based chaos. And it was fun. Like, really fun. Yes, it had issues, and no, I do not believe that it was better than the first game other than visually, but at the end of the day, it's an arena shooter with portals. It was a blast in many aspects. The problem, I believe, was that the game didn't know what it wanted to be. Splitgate was having an identity crisis. We'd been given factions, weapons locked to factions, maps that didn't have anywhere near as much emphasis on the portals, as well as a Battle Royale mode. This certainly wasn't the Splitgate 2 that many of us, myself included, were excited for. In fact, the game was released without a lot of content, feeling a lot more like a beta than a finished product. Considering all the time they had to work on it, and how much the CEO hyped up the release, it was a shell of what it should have been. Issues ran rampant from day one. Laggy servers for the Battle Royale, challenges that didn't even track properly, if at all. This meant that players were left feeling empty after a session. Nothing tracking meant no real reason to play aside from the gameplay, but the worst is still yet to come. It didn't help that 1047 was slow to address the issues, opting to instead focus on things that furthermore created discourse in the community, such as a skin bundle that cost 80 Australian dollars, including one player skin bundled with a couple of weapon skins. The other point of contention was the marketing this game received, which furthermore showcased how out of control the dev team was with their target audience. They decided to sink what I can only imagine being hundreds of thousands of dollars into paid promotional content from streamers, in which they would play Splitgate live for their audience. The only trouble was the streamers they chose didn't really fit the target audience, as names like Shroud, XQC, Moxie and more played the game in front of thousands. But the issue was that these streamers' audiences weren't really people who cared about the game. As far as I'm aware, no big arena shooter streamers were given sponsorships, no arena shooter content creators were given any kind of incentive to promote the game to their viewers. Minimal effort was put into other avenues of marketing as they believed this was the best way to attract an audience. Not only this, but what Twitch viewers saw wasn't the fun, fast-paced Portal arena shooter, but rather the bland, tasteless Battle Royale, almost exclusively. These streamers, of course, would abandon the game shortly after content deals expired, as the mode was completely lackluster, offering almost nothing new other than some select areas in which you could place portals. This, paired with poor achievement and challenge tracking, as well as other bugs, meant that Splitgate maybe didn't shoot itself in the foot, but rather hacked it off with a blunt machete. Just reminding you that the developers killed off Splitgate 1 intentionally to spend years working on a project to supersede it, and still allowed it to release in an almost beta state, with many bugs and glitches. Honestly, it seemed like the only thing that was polished and worked well was the shop, which furthermore frustrated players. The game wasn't off on the right foot. People quickly grew fed up and left, opting to play other titles, and who can blame them? Instead of the fun Portal shooter we all loved from 2021, we got a game that was half-baked and going through an identity crisis, trying to be a hero shooter, arena shooter, and a battle royale all at once. What is so unfortunate is that the gameplay, as far as the arena went, was still fun. The gunplay was crisp. The movement was fluid and seamless. If the developer team had focused on making a good arena shooter, I have no doubt they would have seen much more success. However, they wanted to dip their fingers into all the pies, have their cake and eat it too. They wanted too much, and as a result, are now left with next to nothing. After much player backlash, I will give some credit to the developers as they've released statements acknowledging their mistakes and promising to do better, even taking Splitgate 2 back to beta for what appears to be a full overhaul based on player feedback. But I think it's a little too late. Splitgate 1 captured the spark. It came out at a time when we were in need of a good arena shooter, and it had the opportunity to get a firm hold on the gaming industry. Instead, they shut it down and released an inferior product that did not live up to expectations and couldn't plug the holes before their ship sank to the ocean floor. Can Splitgate 2 still be successful? I honestly don't know. But as a gamer myself who likes shooters, I hope they can figure it out. I'm just not sure many people will be easily convinced to make a return to a game that treated them so poorly and lacked so much polish, even if it does release again in a good state. What are your thoughts? Did you find the same lackluster experience when you tried Splitgate 2? Do you think it can make a return? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you made it this far, thank you. It means a lot. I started this channel less than a month ago, and to see so many people enjoying it only motivates me to work even harder. Until next time, peace.